Good morning, natural gas. It's Friday, January 23rd, 2026. I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. And for the spot February natural gas prices are back up. Again, we're trading at 514.70, up 10.4 cents or a little over 2%. Yesterday, we got as high as 565. We couldn't push back over that level, tried twice, almost reversed, ended up basically unchanged from the open. The RSI is turning up still, but we've got the crossover on the 13 and 48 period exponential moving averages, but we're running out of time for that because we expire the options on Tuesday. Wednesday is futures expiration. Thursday is when we get the EIA storage report, expected to be minus 370 according to Celsius Energy. That would be a record. So let's take a look at the hourly chart. And here's where that 13 and 48 period exponential moving averages can be so important. Yesterday, we started breaking down through the 13 period, tested the 48. We actually broke down from the 48, but the RSI was very, very low at that time, did not continue, and is reversing back out. What's going on? Well, the forecast, they're different depending on the model, and we've got to keep an eye on the 10 to 14 period average because this is February futures, not January cash. And January cash for Henry Hub this morning was quoted at $8.42. So strong, strong cash prices because of this winter storm, Fern. So let's take a look at the storage report that came out yesterday. It was minus 120. That was above expectations, which were centered around minus 105. And as you can see, the South Central pulled 39. And that was mostly out of salt, minus 27. So big storage pull from the Gulf Coast area for salt dome storage. We'll keep a careful eye on that this week coming up. And let's take a look at the Midland, Texas temperatures. This wintry mix is expected tonight. We are looking at only, 22 degrees as a high on Saturday, and then it gets down as low as 13 degrees. And then we've got Sunday and Monday. We never get above 32 degrees. We've got to be careful here. Watch this for both wind turbines because of the wintry mix freezing on the wind turbines, the solar, and of course, natural gas production. And let's take a look at Monday for ERCOT. This is where we got to be really careful. Monday morning, 8 a.m., its available seasonal capacity is just under 91,000 megawatts, but its demand is 84,000 megawatts. So we're going to be very, very tight Monday morning. And let's take a look at the front to back spreads. This is the Jan 27 versus the April 26 contract. As you can see right now, we're up 5.1 cents or a little over 3.7%, and it is popping back upward. So it's widening out because the market now is looking past this storm and saying, hey, I've got a strong injection season coming up for the US and in Europe. So let's take a look at the strip here. This is the April through October, the 7-month strip, and that is holding again today. It is actually unchanged at 374.10. Actually, it's 374.20. So it's unchanged. The RSI is going kind of flat here. So it looks like we're going to go sideways until possibly we get this February contract off the board, can get a better look at what the rest of winter may look like through the rest of February, and then possibly see what March brings us. And here's the forecast that we're looking at. This is February 1st. This is the GFS model, and it's quite cold. But if we turn to the European model here on Pivotal Weather, it looks a little bit less cold. So this is where some things are starting to diverge because look what's happening here all the way out in the 7th of February. The cold is limited to the Great Lakes states and the Mid-Atlantic and New England states. So let's see what happens here. But again, these models are starting to diverge a little bit here. As you can see, it's still cold, but it is more focused on the northeast. Let's turn our attention to Europe. This is this morning here. As you can see, this is the temperature anomaly map. It is cold in Poland and Germany and parts of Turkey, as well as Scandinavia, which is normal. But then let's take a look at all the way at the end of the forecast for the 7th. And you've got warmer temperatures in Eastern Europe, slightly colder across the Alps England and Ireland, parts of Spain. But in the midsection, it's just warmer. So they finally caught a break. But let's take a look at that storage. It's now 47.6% full across the EU, and France is below 40%, as well as Germany. They're down at 39%. So we've got a strong, strong injection season coming up here in Europe. They're going to really depend on US LNG. How about China, Asia, South Korea, and Japan? Well, it looks cold here today, this morning. It is quite cold across the Koreas, Japan, and parts of eastern China. As we move further and further out, though, it does warm up except for the Koreas and Japan. And then let's take a look. That cold Arctic air comes back in and pushes into Korea and Japan, but China as a whole is doing fairly well. How about Golden Pass? It's supposed to be coming up in this first quarter, but look at the volume. It's under 9,000 MMBTUs, so it is slowly coming up. And how about the snow and ice cover? Well, we've got some snow across obviously the upper tier of the United States into New England and, of course, the mid-Atlantic states. And here's the Great Lakes ice cover. It is now 22.3% full of ice, and this is especially prevalent across Lake Erie, which is the shallowest of the lakes. And let's look at our nuclear fleet. Most of it is doing very, very well. We've only got 2 gigawatts that are out. As you can see, we've got some small outages, except for Edwin Hatch, which is almost 50% outage. The rest are really below 8% on the outages. So the U.S. nuclear fleet doing well for this winter storm. And let's take a look at the stocks. These are the oil and gas E&P sector. These are stocks between $2 and $10 billion and have a high short float, over 10%. Why do you choose these stocks? Because when things start to combine, get together, these things can really rally. As you can see, CRK up 21.54% for the week. And the week's not even over. And let's take a look again, recapping here for the spot February contract. It's currently trading at 5.15, up 10.5 cents, or 2.08%. Be careful, folks. Sunday night weather model runs are notorious this time of year, especially this year, which is just whipsawing everybody completely. Be careful. We are trading cash prices for January. These are February futures, and February could be a cold start, but maybe a warm mid. So be careful. This market can throw everybody off. So again, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you Monday.